up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
Friends and savvy investors out there, this is Steve Van Kallenberg with the Savvy Radio Show. I am the Savvy Landlord, and you just can't get enough of Thomas Morgan. So Thomas is back, and man, I got to know more. Every time I talk to you, I learn so much about real estate, wholesaling, contracts, creative, and I think the best part of our relationship is you always are, it can be done. And I think that's really cool. And when I study real estate, and today's subject is wholesaling. It seems to be extremely hot topic around the country. There's more and more books coming out on wholesaling, but I've noticed throughout the years, 10 years later, there's no more wholesalers. They don't sustain. And you've been doing this for how long since you've been doing it?
About 8 years.
8 years, and you're still rocking. You got a business model in place. Not to be arrogant, what makes you still be in business? How does that even happen?
It gets down to the core of what is wholesaling. Wholesaling is really, I'm putting a house under contract, marketing it, and finding an end buyer and assigning my contract for a fee.
And does that fee vary?
It varies depending on what the property is and what the value is. And
I've noticed a lot of wholesalers, they're just excited just to get in the game, and they're just thankful for $500,000. But then there's some wholesalers now that have business models that I got to make $10,000 on every deal. What's your thoughts on that?
It's not even logical. How can I say I'm going to make $10,000 on every deal when not every house can dictate a $10,000?
Or you have to constantly beat up that person and create a bad reputation with, I guess the sellers disappear anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
The sellers and the buyers. It depends on what you're doing. I deal with a lot of elderly landlords, people that build their business on having properties. So a lot of them have multiple properties. So I can't just beat the crap out of my sellers and get stupid deals for end buyers.
So your wholesale business is specific, your demographic that you kind of farm from? Or do you have a broad strokes? Tell us a little about that. I kind of have a broad
stroke. Basically, as a wholesaler, you're really a marketing company. You're always marketing for sellers. You're always marketing for buyers.
Okay.
And I think that's where a lot of end wholesalers or wholesale businesses fall off. They'll spend all the money on marketing for sellers, but they don't spend any money on marketing for buyers.
Now, I heard that's not, you don't need, if the deal's good enough, someone's always going to be there. So why would you spend any energy or money marketing towards buyers? And I used to hang out with a wholesaler, and he just had 5 people. That was it. He had 5 people that had money, and he just started from the top and called down, and 9 times out of 10 he sold the deal. But he was a really good wholesaler. He wasn't trying to make $10,000 on every transaction. He wasn't trying to. He bought it right. He put enough margin in there for himself and for the investor to make money, because that's what the investor does. Yeah. I think that's where the wholesalers go wrong.
You have to leave plenty of meat on the bone, to get that repeat business from buyers. People in my market know they can come to my site at any time and find a deal.
Right. And when you said earlier you spent some time going after buyers, what's wrong with the buyers? Do your buyers dry up, or?
Just because you have cash today doesn't mean you buy a house tomorrow. Say you got $100,000 cash today, Steven. You go out and buy a deal for $100,000.
Yeah, it's going to take me a while to get that back up.
Yeah, you're not my buyer tomorrow then.
Okay, so you're constantly prospecting on both sides of the fence.
Yeah.
And you have a database of that.
I keep an extensive database. For buyers, most of the time I just want an email address.
All right. So let's say you got a deal under contract. It's a good deal. It's in a decent neighborhood, middle range neighborhood. Do you blast it out on email blast, Facebook, or do you call people first? What should a wholesaler do?
My whole marketing plan is I have a full checklist of what I do for every property.
Okay, let's go ahead.
First step, I go in, make sure I get the key to the property so I can show it. I put a lockbox on the property, that way I'm not carrying keys around and worrying where my keys are. I then go in, I'll take a lot of photos of inside and outside the property. Probably normally 20 to 30 photos of just inside and out.
Do you Dropbox those?
No, I upload those onto my website.
Okay. And you host them with your website?
Yeah, I host them with my website. I also go and make a YouTube video, just with this basic phone, but I go super slow. Like if you think you're going too slow, you're probably going too fast.
Since just got back from the Ohio RIA, I got a tip where a guy uses a GoPro, or no, is that what it's called? The Go Hero camera.
Yeah.
And he does it with wider shots, and he's a wholesaler, and he has great success with it. I'm thinking, strap that deal on your forehead, and you're done.
Yeah, you don't always need just a GoPro. You can go and get one of those clip-on lenses to get a wide-angle lens and put on your iPhone or Android for $10 off Amazon.
Okay. So you take video, then what?
I take video. I do like wide-angle lenses. I'm kind of a video geek now, but just because it makes the rooms look bigger, it makes it look clean.
Yeah, I struggle with that all the time, actually.
Get a wide-angle lens, you'll be all right. I promise.
Well, that's why I was looking into the GoPro, since because the photos were like 10. Lee Smith from Indiana, he had 2 different photos. This is what it's like on my iPhone. This is what it's like. Well, he doesn't have an iPhone. Thank God he's on an Android. But he was like, this is my Samsung. And this is the GoPro is just totally different. It looked amazing.
Yeah, it's the wide-angle lens. GoPros are meant for outdoor shots to get a big angle.
Well, that's a tip for you out there, savvy investors. If you're trying to sell or wholesale or whatever, take good photos and videos.
Even for your rental properties, if you're a landlord, good pictures sell. I mean, if it looks like crap, people think it's going to crap.
They're going to pass on it. Right on. Definitely. Good tip of the day. All right, so you take the video, then what?
I take a video. I'll go back to my office. I'll upload it onto my website. I run on FreedomSoft. I'm transitioning to REI Black Book. I used to run on Podio, depending on which system.
And what you're throwing out Podio on my rodeo? What's that? Go Podio, rodeo.
Those FreedomSoft, Podio, and REI Black Book. There's many different softwares out there. They're basically a lead management CRM system for wholesalers or rehabbers.
Keeping a track?
Yeah, just keeping track of all your leads. If you're literally running a marketing company, you're always going to be having seller leads coming in. You're always going to be having buyer leads, whether it be going to your website, a call center, things like that.
And you use all 3 of those? Or you've tested them? Or
I've tested all 3 of them. I used to be a huge fan of FreedomSoft. Now that I've gotten on with Rich Dad, I've been exposed to more REI Black Book more. I'm kind of transitioning into that. It depends what your budget is, and you get what you pay for. I mean, Podio is free, but it's what you see is what you get. It's very intensive to set up as a system, but it's free.
Which is Black Book is just
REI Black Book can be
drag and drop.
Yeah, it's what you see is what you get. You click, set it up. It does professional websites. You can go to reiblackbook.com.
Okay, check it out. All right, so now you got it on your website.
Now it's up to my website.
Website.
Also,
you don't have secret investors you call with the bat phone?
No.
So
I do, but I don't.
But you try to be neutral with everybody?
I try to be neutral with people just because it creates a sense of urgency too.
Or no favoritism, because I see that in my market, it feels like I get passed over, or I used to. Years ago, it used to really bother me. Like I was the 5th guy on the list, and I really wanted to be the 1st guy. And then sometimes some wholesalers put me first on the list, and then now I feel like I'm on the bottom of the list. Why is that? Why do I feel that way? Can you educate me? Because it frustrates me as an investor. I think that this should be a win-win situation. You, as a wholesaler, want to make money. You've done all the hard work. You got it under contract, and I want to buy it from you. But I feel like some wholesalers try to extrapolate as much money as they can. They know that I'm going to buy it at 70%, so they try to squeeze out every penny.
To an extent, yes. There's 2 sides of that coin. Yes, I will like building rapport with my buyers. I like having good relationships. And I do certain deals, like if I know this is your area, this is what you like to buy, I'm just going to make a phone call before I go through all my marketing.
Or even getting it online, right?
Yeah, before I even go take pictures or waste time making videos or putting out signs in the yard or a banner and things like that.
Once you speak out to the other wholesalers out there, I want you to be the face of wholesalers. And, I dealt with a guy for a long time. I'm a cash buyer. Doesn't that have some validity, some value for you as a wholesaler? Like, I think because I've sold property and I always get sketchy. This person may not close. I don't care about a proof of funds letter until we close because deals have fallen through. I feel like, I'm going to close. If I say I'm going to pay X amount, I would think that I would get some sort of a different
you're the minority, Steve. I've had buyers say they're going to close, and then 2 days before
That's what I'm
closing,
saying. I'm a minority. Wouldn't I be called first? But I feel like I'm not called first. I mean, and that's maybe I'm just overzealous about that situation. I don't know. When wholesalers send me, I'm on tons of wholesaler lists, which I like to see what's out there in the market. And I know this gal buys in Norman, so I dump it to Norman. And I'm not trying to make a percentage. I just want her to do well, but that's just not my area. But if a wholesaler has something in my area, I really want them to know, hey, Savvy buys in this market. I don't know. I just want you to speak that into wholesalers out there. I think that, they think that, I don't know what they're thinking, but I'm like, this guy has cash. He can buy. He can close. He has not defunct on any deal. Why wouldn't you just get the transaction done?
It's really just up to that person's transaction.
Or they don't know. They're not skilled. Yeah. I don't know. Because I've just learned from years ago that a wholesaler friend, he just had 5 people. It's frustrating because I wasn't on that list. And this was when I was a rookie investor and I was mentoring under him. And he was super successful as a wholesaler. He was with a national guy, Tim Mai. I don't know if you know him. Have you heard of that name? He paid thousands of dollars to be under the Tim Mai thing. And we were friends first before we became real estate investors. And man, I would get the crumbs. He would have them all sold by the time he got to number 4. I mean, he had a very lucrative business going on, and it was making wholesaling attractive. He had a system. He has marketing in place. So let's just get back to, sorry, I didn't mean to rant in the middle of the thing. I'm trying to help out these young wholesalers out there. So you got it under, didn't you blast it out
typically
on an email?
I'll get it under contract. I'll put a couple signs in the front yard, must sell dirt cheap.
Now, are you worried about the seller seeing that sign, that then they're going to flip it? Or do you communicate that to them on the front end?
I do both. It depends on what vibe I get from the seller. Typically, I'm dealing with a lot of absentee owners or vacant properties anyway, so I don't really care.
Yeah, they're
not going to go buy the property. Even if they do, in my contract, there's a very specific line. Buyer has the right to place for rent/for sale sign in the yard while sale is pending.
Okay.
Just simple one line. And basically, even when I'm signing the contract, if a tenant asks me that, or seller asks me why that I need that right, listen, I move a lot of volume. I want to hit the ground running. The day we close on it, we'll have somebody lined up.
Have you ever got a static from a seller that won't give you the keys? They feel uncomfortable?
Yes.
And how do you handle that?
It's a very easy objection for me. Listen, we don't have a deal if I can't get my contractors in here. I need to get those keys in so I can get my bids done, so I can get my contractors in, to know exactly what it's going to cost me to have this lined up. I can't wait till after closing to have these things handled. This is stuff that's part of my due diligence process. If I can't get a copy of the key and I have to wait to schedule your time and my contractor's time, that's not efficient for any of us.
Sure. And so you just give them the logic speech. This is what it entails.
Yeah, this is what I need to do.
This is the cost of doing business per se. Like someone charges a dock fee. This is the cost of doing business. I need the key for me to get this transaction done quickly.
I need a copy of the key to get my due diligence done.
Okay.
Most sellers have a full-time job. That's an easy parlay. Listen, you work 40 hours a week.
This is my day job.
This is what I do. I can't wait on your schedule.
Good job, Daddy.
If you want me to close this in 30 days or less, this is what I need from your end.
All right, good. Let's just hit the objections because I like this. I love calling you up. I can't do this. You're like, did you try this? All right, here's another one. When you tie up a contract, okay, so you go look at the property, pre-qualify them, you're about to get under a contract. What earnest money, because you have to make a contract valid, you have to have some sort of an earnest money to make it valid.
Yes and no.
Well,
legally, yes.
Legally. Okay.
Most sellers, they don't care. They just want to know.
But some people are like, I want $1,000, sir.
That's great. I'll put up $1,000 earnest money at the title company.
And so you're just not comfortable. And you have the funds? Yeah. What about the rookie? What about the rookie that doesn't have that $1,000?
Borrow it from a friend.
You think you should? So you're telling all wholesalers out there that they should pony up and put the earnest money down at the title company, not individually.
If you're going to put up earnest money, make sure it's with a third party fiduciary responsibility. Make sure you have a decent out clause like partners contingent upon partners approval
or inspection
or contingent upon inspection. And
yeah.
There's hundreds of them out there that people use to get out of contracts. Typically, I'm not putting up earnest money. My contracts, I've literally wiped out the earnest money line. It's not even there.
Well, okay, cool. So that's a good objective. One last objective, and then we'll get back into how you run this deal. So I have 1,001 questions. I don't mean to stop the flow. All right. What about a seller having cold feet? Have you ever converted a seller that's like, well, I want more money, or
yes,
you're taking advantage of me, or how do you handle the objective like they're getting cold feet, or they feel like they've rushed the contract?
There's a couple different ways you can handle that objection. You really want to handle it when it happens. You don't want it to get dragged out through email or
over the weekend.
Or over the weekend, or time kills every deal. So
well said.
If I'm talking to a seller and they're like, "Oh, I don't really want to sell," what makes you feel that way? We had an agreement. All these terms were fine when we signed our contract. What's changed? And just pause. Just make an awkward pause. Let them speak. You'll find out what their real objection is.
And what typically, what is it normally?
Seller's remorse. They're not ready to sell. It could be
Is this for real? Have you ever had anybody act like this? This is a scam or fake? And because you're relatively young looking, you don't look like. I mean, I know you do look like money to me, but because I know you, you look like money. But I don't know any 20-year-olds or 30-year-olds wear Rolexes. But that's another episode. Or go out and buy them for their brother. But the fact is, have you come across that? Like, you're too young, you shouldn't be buying my house, especially if you're dealing with older sellers.
I mean, if it's your first deal, obviously you don't have any credibility per se.
And you could just fire off situations.
I'm like, okay, call my title company. See how many deals I close a year. I can give you sellers' names. I can give you testimonials that people would give me. I've had people literally crying at a closing table, and I have a video of it where they're so happy that they were able to finally sell this house.
And you made how much?
Depends on the deal.
They're crying and you're smiling.
I'm like awkward, just sitting in the corner.
Then you bust out your little camera. Let's do a video testimonial.
Why you're excited? Let me have this.
Okay. All right, let's get back to it. All right, so that's enough of the objectives. So you got it on your website. Then you send out an email blast, unless you know specifically, but you try to be neutral, correct?
I try to be neutral. It just depends where it is. Like, I have one guy, Brian, that buys in my market. He loves anything that's in fair shape and a stupid low price. Because what he does, he'll buy it in his IRA and finance it in his IRA. So, like...
And you can get your assignment fee in the IRA?
Yeah, I'm selling it to the IRA, so...
Does your assignment fee on the HUD?
Yeah.
Okay.
I make sure all my assignment... Some people's mottos, they want to get paid off the HUD. I'd rather have it all documented.
Sure. I prefer that as well because I'm writing one check.
Yeah.
Instead of two, and then I got to get a W-9, I got to mess around.
Yeah, exactly.
The little trick caveat here is that you don't have to do a W-9 with the title company.
Yeah.
They just cut the check to whoever the assignment fee name is. Anyway, we could talk that on Tax Strategies 105 at another time.
Yeah, that's a whole nother...
Yeah.
Dealing with wholesalers 101.
And I think the next episode that we're going to have is all your marketing skills revealed. I think it would be a great subject. But let's just get on to the process of wholesaling and what goes through your mind. So to keep it fair, you broadcast it out.
Is I'll shoot it out to my list.
Text message or email, or how do you?
I've done both. I used to do a lot with call fire on text message blasts. You get a lot higher response rate, but you better have all the phone numbers out of your email list.
What do you mean by that?
Typically, if you're driving traffic to a squeeze page, typically you're entering name and phone number.
Right.
If you're new to wholesaling, make sure you put
email.
Or name and email. Make sure you put your phone number in there as the third criteria, and you can start using things like call fire and just shoot out giant text blasts.
Yeah.
Instead, texts have a lot higher response rate than email.
And the service you use is called Text Fire?
Call fire.
Call fire. And what's typically a charge for that?
I put like a $10 credit on there, and it's a penny a text.
Cool.
Or
and you find a great response, and it's quick too, right? Because they get it
instantaneously.
There's a great realtor in my market that does that.
Yeah. Qualifier has a huge response rate, but you got to have everyone's phone numbers.
Sure.
My list is about 50-50, so I just mainly shoot out email blasts now.
And then what's a typical response? And this is a deal going in. How long? How fast?
Typically, I'll be getting calls within an hour after I shoot out an email blast.
And so it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's like speed dating. Like
Kinda.
put your profile on
Yeah.
eHarmony. and so what? Okay, how do you handle? Do you go with a certain
Typically, in my email...
first one, first come? Or
Yeah, I absolutely hate the highest and best game with realtors.
Or how about showing... Okay, I'm going to ask you this next question. Keep going. Sorry.
It drives me crazy.
Okay, good.
So, from my end, I'll have a buyer. Typically, someone will call me and say, yeah, I want to get in the property. I'll set up, say, 5 o'clock. The next calls I'm getting, I'm showing it at 5 o'clock.
So, okay, the first one, you set the time up, and then 5 more people call you, 5 o'clock. 3 more people call you, 5 o'clock.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm going to tell
Hey,
everyone,
everybody, it's 5 o'clock.
I'm going to be showing it at 5 o'clock. If you want to come see it, take it off the market.
Creates a sense of urgency.
Creates a sense of urgency, and I'll straight tell them, to take it off the market, I need a $2,000 earnest money cashier's check to the title company.
It's cool. That's how I do it.
Some people, they want the check to them.
No.
To me, it's a sense of comfort and credibility. Is I don't even want your money.
Or you don't.
It's going to the title company.
Yeah. Well, man,
it makes me seem if you want the check yourself, you seem desperate.
All right. So now you got this kind of a feeding frenzy, right? At this, then how do you choose which one?
Who's got the proof of funds and who's got the cashier's check?
And so if someone you've worked with before, you know that they can close, you're kind of like, okay.
If it's someone I know that's performed and they say, I want it, I'm going to go to the bank, or I might have them write me a personal check, and I'll just tear up the personal check when they bring me a cashier's check.
Okay, the personal check still made out to that title company. Yeah. Okay. So then you tie it up, and then...
Typically on my seller side, I'm getting 30 days or more. 30 to 45 days, depending on the property and the condition. My buyers, I'm lining up, you have 10 days to close.
Why 10 days?
Because if they default, I still...
20 more days?
Yeah, I still got 20 days or X number of days to find a replacement buyer.
Okay. And this is just from general experience of being burned?
Yeah.
And have you lost deals?
Knock on wood, I've
Hello? Where are we?
I haven't lost a deal in a while. I had a deal recently. I was buying... There was 2 houses on one lot. I was buying for $60,000. I lined up a buyer for $69,000.
So 9,000 spread.
9,000 spread. She put up $2,000 earnest money.
Non-refundable.
Non-refundable earnest money.
Okay.
And took it off the market. 3 days later, she calls me crying in tears. The buyer. Not the seller, the buyer.
You're the middle person, the buyer that you're flipping the contract to,
Yeah.
assigning the contract to this person who's crying.
And she's bought from me before. So I got some rapport built with her. Like I made a decent spread on another deal from her.
Okay, and she's crying. Why is she crying?
Because she thought she was supposed to be able to pull a credit line. It's not going to be able to fund in time. And she didn't want to let me down. She was all nervous. I explained to her, I'm like, I'll let you out of the contract, but it's a $2,000 non-refundable earnest money.
Because that's just the times. Well, it's only been 4 days. So how'd you handle that deal? You just took her money? Was she pissed? Was she crying? Or she
understood completely.
Okay. So she's an experienced investor of sorts.
Yeah. She's
Sometimes
kind of
you
upset,
lose.
but
Yeah.
it's okay.
And in a situation like that, I'd be like, man, I want you to make your money back. Maybe we can make it on another deal.
Yeah, if she came to me on another deal, I'd give her the discount. I don't care.
And, in my mind, this is what it looks like. I mean, how much you spend in marketing, Thomas? Like with all these websites, these virtual assistants, bandit signs, cameras, video time.
Just on my marketing, my direct mail, and signs and things, I spend about $1,000 a month.
That just sounds so cheap. But your time.
My time, I'm in it probably 20 to 30 hours a week. Just out visiting.
So it's a full-time job. And because you've been traveling heavily lately.
Yeah.
But before you took the Rich Dad job, you were
20 hours a week and slacking off. Doing whatever I'd want.
Punk rocker. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you tie it up. And then... Okay, then you have this. So then you close, and then do you babysit the deal? I mean, how do you?
I'll walk it all the way to closing.
I mean by walking it, what do you mean by that?
By walking it to closing, I'll literally once I get my contract from my buyer, I'll physically take the cashier's check and the 2 contracts, my seller contract, My buyer's contract, I can go walk it down to the title company. It's 3 days for me to get a title search done.
Okay. And so then title insurance, all the jazz.
Yeah.
So a week later, they're closing? 7?
So within 4 days, I can literally
Possible.
close.
Yeah.
Possibly. If
Now,
my
has
title-
any of this buyers try to slow roll you? How do you handle that? Man, I can't close. My money's not in.
Great, I'm taking your money.
Okay. So you tell them they have 10 days.
You have 10 days to close.
Okay, I remember you telling me the story where it was getting close to the 10 days, but you were giving them grace. But you really have cut it off before.
Yeah, I don't care. I'll cut you off. Your contract period is the contract period.
Now, you seem kind of not arrogant, but kind of stern about this deal.
It's my company policy. You close in 10 days or we will take your... No one argues company policy.
Sure. It's a fake term.
Yeah.
I use it all the time. Sorry, ma'am. It's company policy. You're late. We can't reduce your late fee. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
So it's a company policy. I don't want to get...
So on my buyer's end, I'm pretty lenient. If you
if you
know
them,
if I know
get
you can perform.
But if you know if they're a joker,
yeah, if you're just dicking me around, no, I'm ruthless.
okay. I guess there's some bias. There's some investors that don't like you.
Oh, I'm sure there are.
Right. Okay. Anyway.
But
so all right, let's get into.
So I'll walk it all the way to the title company. I'll
close.
line up. I'm in full communication with my title company. I'm lining up the closing. I'm telling my sellers when they have to be there to get their check.
And you're there with them.
No, I don't ever go. I'll line everything up, but I don't ever go to
Show
closing
up.
anymore.
What about when there's things pop up on the lien or there's a probate situation, and you just call the seller up and explain the situation, and
Depending on what it is, like if
or
it's,
do you let the title company handle that?
depending on what it is,
Okay.
like if it's something seller related specifically, I'll let the title company. But my title company is also telling me what's going on,
Oh, most definitely.
so I can push it.
So what you're saying is that have an intimate relationship with your closing company, and I preach that because they are my blocker, they're my protector. If you have a good closing company, they'll tell things to sellers.
Oh yeah, I love my title. I buy Christmas presents for my title
I need
company.
to do that.
I buy them
Good.
lunch.
That's a good tip. That's a
I
great tip.
love my title.
No, I
company.
mean, there's so many times where like I got to slow roll this. I couldn't come up with the funds on a deal, and they were ready to close. She calls me up and she's like, "Hey, we can close tomorrow if you'd like." I'm like, "Whoa, I don't have the money," and well, the seller's ready to close. They're ready. Well, I'm like, I don't have the money. Can you? And they'll do me a solid. They'll delay closing for I don't know what reasons, and they can smooth it over for me, and that's what I really appreciate. A really good title company and the working relationship that I have, and I treat them with respect. It's just so funny that you see these dumb investors and even wholesalers like they own the world, and they almost spit on some title companies. Because we do pay them, but I don't think they understand the value and how important title companies are to the transaction.
They,
Even quick double closings, which is a borderline almost illegal.
double closings aren't illegal.
It depends on how you.
If you're using the funds and people don't know that you're using their funds for the first closing, yes, that's illegal.
That's what I'm trying to say.
But full disclosure,
yeah, they're in the room next door. That's your full disclosure. All right. So you babysit the situation all the way, then you close. Everything's great. Then what? Then that's it. You just go
pick up my
celebrate
check
and have a good time and start the process over.
yeah, I mean, I'm constantly following up with my leads and other things.
Now, as a wholesaler, do you buy deals for yourself first, or are you constantly thinking wholesale? What goes through your mind?
The way my mentality works is I'm trying to keep everything that is a deal. If I have funding in place, I can keep it.
You want it.
I'm going to keep it to rehab it for my deals. But I'm also not opposed to a fast nickel over a slow dime either.
Ooh.
So would I take 10 for it today instead of 20 in the future? Okay, no problem. I got no
Because there's so many more deals.
there's so many more deals. Plus what tax bracket I'm put into. If I actually take titles of that, I'm going to be hitting a capital gains scenario if I go to resell it. Versus if I just assign my contract, it's 15%. So
is that considered earned income?
It's an earned income.
Okay.
It's ordinary income.
Ordinary income.
Yeah.
It's like free money in essence, so in the government's eyes instead of earned income.
Yeah.
Ordinary income.
So you're hit a different tax bracket depending on what bracket you're into and what your level of income is.
Okay.
So, to me, my mentality is if I'm taking title to it, I don't want to pay capital gains. I rather avoid capital gains at all possible.
Right. Have you messed around with IRAs and wholesale to your own IRA or use your IRA? Or
I haven't messed around into my IRA. I've wholesaled to a lot of other people's IRAs.
Self-directed IRAs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Same process.
What do you think the future is? I talked to some wholesalers, and years ago. I've been in the game for 16 years, but bandit signs were the lick. Then it was yellow letters for years. Then robocalls. I mean, sell your home, call me back. Now it's the internet. What is that? Do you think those elements are going to still be the same? Obviously, it's a simple question. The internet's always going to be a powerful force. Is that going to be the only force? Do you think yellow letters are going to?
All those methods that you just talked about work, and they worked in the past. They'll still work in the future. I still do a lot of direct mail, but I also have a huge internet presence. I'm constantly on Craigslist. I'm constantly advertising locally on different, even Facebook yard sale groups. I've gotten a stupid deals.
What do you post on there? Just sell or just to buy?
Both.
You say, hey, I'm buying houses?
Yeah, I'm looking to buy some rental properties in this zip code. Like, you can go into North Oklahoma city yard sales.
Right.
All those people live in North Oklahoma in that little zip code that you could be targeting.
Have you purchased a house through Facebook?
Yeah.
Have you sold a house through Facebook?
I've sold a lot of houses through Facebook.
Wow.
It's also a great lead generation tool just to drive them back to my website.
All right. So if you had to pick one or the other, Craigslist or Facebook, I guess Craigslist is more targeted. It's more specific on housing, location. More you're fishing on Facebook because everybody knows if you're going to sell a house, you're going to sell it on, or at least post it on Craigslist.
Craigslist is good because everyone's specifically going there to look for very targeted things. Either buy a property or go to sell a property. Facebook's kind of random because you can, if you know what you're doing, you can literally geo-target down to buyers. You can know, if you know someone's name, you can specifically run an ad directed at them.
On their feeds.
And if you know what you're targeting, you can go after them indirectly, directly.
Have you bought Facebook ads?
I have done some Facebook ads.
And for wholesaling to purchase or to sell?
To sell.
So a house that you have under contract, you're like, hey, I'm going to... So now you have money in the game. So you have earnest money down. Now you have a budget for some Facebook ads.
Facebook ads, you can literally run for $5-10 a day.
Well, what's the budget?
Normally I'll throw $30 in it a day. Nothing crazy.
Oh, just to test it, or has it yielded?
If you're making a $5,000 in profit, what do you care about $30?
Well, I agree. I'm not trying to be cheap. but have you sold a property because of that Facebook?
Yeah.
Of that $30, or that's incredible.
One of my best deals I ran. I was really in my market. I deal with a lot of things, a lot of property under $50,000. Mm-hmm. To me, it's more common to find a guy running around with 20 to 50 than the guy running around with 150, 200.
Right.
One deal I did earlier this year, I was buying for 100 and I was buying at 150 and I sold at 200.
So it's $50,000 worth of spread.
Yeah, on an assignment fee.
And you had 30 days to close.
Yeah, I had 30 days to close. I was really nervous, so I hit the ground.
What were you nervous about?
That I wasn't going to be able to line up a buyer, and I was going to lose Facebook.
Because it was bigger than what you're normally used to.
Yeah, bigger than my normal average deal.
Okay.
I ran, I think it was a $30 a day pay-per-click, and I had to run it 2 days.
So $60.
But I was targeting high net worth individuals in Chattanooga that were interested in real estate.
Man, I have a house for sale right now. I need to do that.
Yeah. Facebook's an amazing tool. You can literally target down to whatever you want.
All right, so you ran this ad.
So I ran the ad. I got a couple of high-end conversion. I don't know if I actually sold the house via Facebook or if they went to my website and then called me. But I'm just generating to get in front of those high net worth individuals.
Well, okay, so you pasted this ad. You posted this ad, and then did you sell this property?
Yeah.
Did you sell it to someone you never knew before?
Never dealt with them.
And I think you told me about this one. They straight up just showed up with cash.
They were actually getting bank financing.
Did they close in 10 days?
They closed. I gave them
extension. This is the one with the extension.
Yeah, I gave them 3 weeks because he told me he was lining up bank financing.
Did you increase the 2,000?
Yes.
To what?
5%.
Smart. So you're almost like pseudo realtor.
Yeah, I made him put 5% down. So yeah.
Like the next day, or
it was a 5% cashier's check. 10,000.
Made out to the title company.
Yeah, to the
but
title
they have
company.
no recourse. It's non-refundable,
Yeah.
and it's very clear in your contract.
It's very clear.
And they had no problem. So normally you take 2,000, but you said this time, or did you just start off with 5% as an earnest?
Normally I'll do 2,000 just because I'm dealing with stuff under 20, 50,000. That's.
But in this case, you said straight up 5%.
Yeah, I'm like 2,000.
What made you think
on
that?
deal,
This is
so
out of the ordinary.
Just because it was a bigger deal and there's a lot more on the line.
And if you couldn't close it, you knew you were going to lose the deal. You had something out of the deal.
Yeah, I wanted
So
them
in
to
your
have
mind-
skin in the game.
So in your mind, hey, I know for sure I'm going to get paid no matter what because you have this non-refundable earnest money.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what motivates you to go spend more money to market the property.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, or you already, I guess you had to market it, then you got the earnest. I got you. But it pushes the deal for the next one, I guess.
Yeah,
It's guaranteed money now.
I'll spend the money on marketing because I'm just generating a bigger list.
Plus both sides, buyers and sellers,
Yeah.
when you market. All right, cool. So continue on with that deal.
So it was actually the guy wanted to borrow money from a local bank. I actually knew the underwriter for the bank, and he had said he'd done a bunch of deals there. So I called him.
You called the bank to verify?
I called my buddy Jimmy.
Who works at the bank?
He's the underwriter for the bank. And I said, hey.
Is this legit?
Yeah, who's this guy? Is he qualified? And he starts laughing. He's like, he's very well qualified.
Right on. And you bought it. You got it under contract for $150?
I had it at $150.
And you were selling it for
$200,000.
And you were going to make 50 large.
50 grand.
And you did make 50.
I did.
No wonder you could just come out to Ohio. And so, was that the biggest deal you've done?
That's the biggest assignment fee I've ever done.
Assignment fee. No double close. No
rehabs.
No duck and dodging. So the guy knew you were going to make 50?
Yeah.
What was the ARV on it?
About 425.
425.
But it needed $100,000 in remodel.
Still, that's. I mean, before rehab is 50% or 52%. Probably he'll be 60 all in. There's still 40%. That's a great wholesale deal. And it's wonderful for you because you made 50,000 large.
Mm-hmm. And it took me a year to get that deal.
Oh,
I had followed up with that deal for over a year.
What took so long?
The seller lived in Florida. He had kids living in the house. They were in a good school district. Yeah, they weren't paying any money. He owned a free and clear. He wanted to wait till they graduated high school to sell the property.
Cool. So, due deal. I mean, patience, diligence always wins in my world. All right, well, we're going to wrap up this episode, man. We could talk for days on end. I'm just truly impressed with you. This is Thomas Morgan, the wholesale king from Chattanooga. He is coming to Oklahoma City in March. You don't want to miss it. Go to investorweekend.com. If you like this episode, cough like that. And if you don't worry. Go to savvyradioshow.com. You have a link. We'll have a link to Thomas's Facebook page. Be his friend and learn and grow from Thomas Morgan. Thank you so much for coming to the show. And always, always be buying assets.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook and always be buying assets.